Alright, so today we're going to be talking about another question that most people looking to buy a mic for podcasting, streaming, or even basic recording ask themselves. Should I buy a USB mic or an XLR mic? To answer that, we have to first look at how your voice, as you hear it, gets converted into that little waveform on your computer. The components we need are a transducer to convert the sound waves from your voice into an electrical signal, a preamp in order to amplify the signal to the right level, and an analog to digital converter to, you guessed it, convert the analog electrical signal into a digital one that your computer can understand. You can go watch our short video on A to D conversion if you want to know more about this subject. The transducer is the mic capsule, and spoiler alert, it's exactly the same in both USB mics and XLR mics. There's absolutely no difference in quality of how your voice is picked up by the mic. Where they differ is the other two components. In a traditional recording studio, mics are connected to external mic preamps, which in turn are connected to an external A to D converter, which ultimately connects to a computer for recording. That's probably overkill for most home recording situations, where the preamp and the converters are usually found within one device called an audio interface. And this is what your XLR mic will plug into in order to record to your computer. USB mics take this one step further and include the preamp and the converter inside the body of the microphone itself, so the mic can be plugged in directly into the computer with a USB cable. At this point, you might be wondering, why would I buy all that extra stuff when I can just buy a USB mic and plug it straight into my computer? Well, the answer to that is that USB mics' biggest advantage is also their biggest disadvantage, and that is their all-in-one nature. It's a bit like kebab shops that also do burgers and pizza on the side. It's cheap and it's easy when you're super hungry, but if you want the best quality pizza, for example, you go to a place that specializes in pizza. So to elaborate on this fanciful metaphor, USB mics are mics that also do preamplification and A to D conversion on the side. But is that bad? Well, if price, ease of use, and portability are your priorities, then no. USB mics are relatively cheap, super easy to use and set up, and some even come with their own little stands, and thus also very portable because you can just stick them in your bag and power them straight from your laptop or your tablet and record wherever you go. All you need is your mic and one USB cable. But at the same time, you're kind of stuck with their internal preamp and their A to D, which are usually not the most amazing in the world. That's not to say that they're bad or unusable, but if you wanted to upgrade to a better, cleaner, and more powerful preamp, for example, well, you can't. And if you wanted to use more than one microphone at the same time, say for a podcast, it might get pretty confusing or even downright impossible to set up, especially if you're a beginner. And if you wanted to use the microphone for something else, whether it was playing live or taking it to a studio to record a vocal, you might have trouble plugging it in there because the systems there are set up for XLR mics instead. Now, if you are willing to spend the extra money initially and get yourself an XLR mic and a decent audio interface, you're opening up many more possibilities. You can now use many classic and high-end microphones that don't have a USB version. You can now easily connect 2 microphones or 3 microphones or 4 microphones or 5. You can also connect other things to the interface like guitars, synthesizers, or high-impedance headphones. You can even connect fancy external outboard gear like mic preamps, compressors, and EQs. As you can see, the main advantages in this case are modularity, expandability, and flexibility. You're in complete control of your signal chain. You can use whichever mics you want and as many as your interface can accept. You can pair them with whatever preamp you fancy, and also you can still use your mics in a traditional studio or live situation. But obviously this is not a cheap setup, and it's obviously not a very mobile one. But wait, there might be an in-between option if you want to start simple, but also want to keep your options in the future open. Have a look at USB mics that also have an XLR output, such as the Shure MB7 or the 5th gen Rode NT1. They're definitely more expensive than standard USB mics, but they are cheaper than a similar mic and interface combo, and they offer all of the advantages of a traditional XLR mic should you want to expand in the future, while still allowing for portable USB recording when needed. Alright, so let's just quickly recap and put all the points on screen together so that you can easily decide what's right for you. So for general ease of use, USB mics are definitely easier to set up and get started with. Connect a USB cable to your computer and that's it. Whereas XLR mics will need an audio interface and a few more connections, so USB mics win this one. For initial cost, USB mics are definitely much cheaper on average, since you don't need to factor in the cost of an interface. Mics that have both a USB and an XLR output are roughly comparable in price to buying a XLR-only mic plus a basic audio interface. When it comes to portability, USB mics are super portable and don't require you to haul around extra hardware and cables. The portability of an XLR and interface combo depends mostly on the size and the power requirements of the interface. Plus, you'll need a few extra cables. When it comes to modularity, XLR mics can be paired with any preamp and converter that you choose. With a USB mic, you're stuck with the onboard one. Obviously, with a mic that has both, you can choose to use the onboard one or an external one. An XLR mic and interface combo can expand according to your needs and can be used to record much more than just one mic, effectively becoming the centerpiece of a home studio. On the other hand, just connecting multiple USB mics to your computer can be a major pain and is definitely not for beginners. As for diversity and variety, the range of USB mics available is fairly limited compared to the variety of XLR mics that exist, from dynamic mics to condenser mics to more specialized ribbon and tube mics. And for the last category, flexibility, XLR mics can be used without a computer in any traditional recording and live situation, whereas USB mics are kind of a one-trick pony. So, in conclusion, we'd recommend getting a USB mic if you're only planning on using a single one and have little interest in expanding in the future or recording music. So ideally for streaming, gaming, video conferencing, and recording talking head style YouTube videos like this one. On the other hand, if you're thinking you'd like to start a small home recording studio and are interested in recording vocals and music in general, or if you'd like to do podcasting or interviews with multiple people, then we'd definitely recommend going the XLR way and also trying to find an audio interface that's right for you. And you're in luck, because we've already done a whole video series on audio interfaces, so you can go ahead and start watching the first video in the series where we answer all of the frequently asked questions you might have about them. I'll see you there. Bye bye.